This recipe that I'm going to show you was actually part of a freezer meal video that I did. We start out with 2 pounds of sirloin steak or a boneless chuck roast cut really thin. I was making 2 batches this day to freeze, so I also put a ribeye steak with it. You're going to need 1 head of fresh broccoli or a bag of frozen broccoli. Cut the broccoli into bite-sized, easy-to-eat pieces. If you're making this into a freezer meal, then I would partially steam the broccoli first, but if not, I would leave the broccoli raw. I started out by cutting the broccoli and steaming it, but if you weren't going to freeze it, you wouldn't have to do that step. Next, you'll need to slice the steak very thin. I'm doubling this recipe to freeze into freezer meals, so that's why there's so much beef. You'll only need to do half of it for one recipe. I'm mixing up the ingredients into freezer bags, but you'll want to put everything just directly into the crock pot. Next, I'm adding a half a cup of low sodium soy sauce to the slices of beef. One cup of beef broth, a quarter cup of brown sugar, 1 tablespoon of sesame oil, which I didn't have, so I used olive oil, 4 cloves of minced garlic, and I used garlic powder instead, probably about maybe a quarter to a half of a teaspoon, and it was seasoned just fine for us. Then I kind of just mixed it all together in the bag. And this was the point where I froze the 2 bags, and then a couple of days later I pulled one out to make it for our dinner. If you haven't frozen the meat and you're using fresh meat, then you would put it in the crock pot for 3.5 to 4 hours on low. I put the frozen meat in the crock pot on low and cooked it for about 4.5 hours, and then I turned it on high for another hour or hour and a half. The recipe says to make a cornstarch slurry about 30 minutes before serving and pour that in to the beef mix along with the raw broccoli. I felt like it took too long for the cornstarch to thicken the gravy, and the broccoli was a little softer than some people might like it to be. So if you're starting out with raw meat, I would suggest that 3 hours into the cooking time, you make a slurry of 4 tablespoons of cornstarch and 4 tablespoons of water, and pour that into the crock pot. And let that cook for about 30 minutes before adding the fresh broccoli. Then it will take about another 30 minutes for the broccoli to cook. We spooned this over white rice, and it was really good. It had good flavor. The beef was tender, and we really enjoyed it a lot. This makes for a very easy meal for a busy weeknight or a lazy Sunday afternoon. I highly recommend you try it. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.